Yes.
All right, we're recording. Hi, Ms. Juarez. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Holidays just finished, so it was a nice time.
Yeah. Were you able to meet with family and everything? And
Yeah, I mean it was good for the beginning for the most part. Then kind of like towards the holidays, it's kind of um how could I describe it? I don't know. Like me and my partner got into like an argument, so
okay.
it was just kind of it went well and then it ended bad. So.
Okay. Yeah, I see. You were referred to a social worker for family issues is all they wrote.
Yeah.
Is that specifically like with your partner, or is there other stuff involved? It's just your partner.
Yeah, I was with my partner.
Okay.
We just had like an argument, so and it got kind of heated. No, like physical or anything. It was just mostly like the arguments that we had. So
Yeah. Has it ever gotten physical?
um, I think it's been more verbal and emotional rather than
Okay.
physical. But
Okay.
it gets pretty loud whenever we have an argument.
Okay. What are you? I mean, what? Let's focus on what happened at Thanksgiving specifically. What started? Like, what kicked it off?
Yeah. So I mean, every like we went to my family's house and we were eating good and then I as we were coming back like I wanted to stay a little longer and he was kind of like we just want to leave and then for not to get like any like louder or like I was just like all right let's just go
Yeah.
so I think it was like around 9ish that we left and we usually
Oh,
with my family we usually stay like especially Thanksgiving like up until midnight or a little bit later so
yeah. And I mean, it's you can see it from like your point of view and your partner's, of course. And like, it's good that you recognize that, like, in that situation to like de-escalate it. It's unfortunate that you didn't necessarily get to spend that time with your family, but I understand why you would want to get out of that situation without sparking a loud conversation
yeah.
in front of your family. So it sounds like you were able to handle that, so that's a positive thing for you. In those like heated debates, how often, like how many times a month would you say you get into like those kinds of arguments?
um
I'm gonna say we can go down to weeks if that's a better that's a
Yeah,
better line.
I think we'll do weeks. It
Okay.
usually happens like 2 or 3 times a week that we
Okay.
are having the arguments. Sometimes I feel like I cause them just because I'm more kind of like of the opinionated person,
Mm.
rather than he's just kind of like just quiet, but indirectly kind of.
Would you say that he would say that you start them?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like that's it could be,
Okay.
but it's more kind of I don't know. I feel like I'm just very I'm pretty opinionated and
Okay.
yeah, that's
Well, and I mean, being opinionated obviously isn't a bad thing. Like you're just as much of a human being as he is, and therefore you have the same like rights to do what you want, of course. And compromises are good in a relationship, but like compromises are supposed to, the whole point of compromise is it goes in your favor sometimes too, obviously. So
we
if
also have a little kid
oh,
so
okay.
something that especially during family time I didn't want him to like see
Yeah,
so
definitely.
and just I feel like our arguments because it's been 2 to 3 times a week I don't want it to affect my child so
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
um During these loud conversations, as we'll call them, do you ever feel like unsafe or anything like that? Like, does it ever escalate to that point, or like
I
that you
mean,
fear for like safety of your child either?
in the whole month, I think it's happened where I felt unsafe.
Okay.
But I was able to kind of like calm him down, and my child was in his room, so
Okay.
that's like for him, he was safe. But just me I was just kind of a little bit more paranoid and more kind of like not paranoid but more alert of what like when the arguments were going to happen.
So I mean, a popular term in like modern culture is the term gaslighting. Are you familiar with it at all?
I'm not familiar with it.
So gaslighting is, so for example, your partner says that you're opinionated, and that's why you get, like, if he were to, you know, push the issue and say that that's why you were getting into these arguments or something like that, like, and he would directly blame that and kind of build that up, that would be gaslighting, because he's making you believe that it's your fault you're getting into these loud conversations. Or like, you didn't feel safe, you were totally justified to not feel safe, but if he were to say you're just being paranoid or whatever, that would be gaslighting. So I just want to make sure we're not in that territory, because that's not good for your mental health, obviously.
I mean, there could be a possibility that's the thing. I think for me, I'm kind of like, I want to stay in the family because of my kid, so I don't want him growing up, you know, not seeing his dad or being in a separate household. So I try to just kind of like, sometimes I try to just keep my mouth shut. So
Yeah,
letting you not talk. Yeah.
I understand. And again, that's a totally normal compulsion. If you know, have gotten to a point where, you know, at the very least, you don't want it to affect, you know, your family or how your family sees you or how your child like lives their life, basically. It's, you know, regular for you to kind of go into that defense mechanism of like, I just won't talk, I won't do that. But like, holding in those like words and stuff and not, you know, not necessarily defending yourself per se, but not voicing your opinion is, you know, in those situations, showing him that he can, you know, take control of those situations. And again, compromise, sometimes that is kind of good to let your partner have that space. But again, you want to make sure that you have the compromise slide toward your side too sometimes, because it's not fair. That's the whole point of compromise. Out of curiosity, has that anger ever been directed at your child?
Not at my child, just towards
Okay.
me. I try to make sure he's as safe as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like you know, when I was younger, this is kind of like what I saw growing up. So
Yeah.
I saw my mom just kind of like trying to keep everything shut, and us being the younger ones. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to make sure that doesn't go to my child. So
Okay. And just to, you know, so that you have a plan if that were, you know, if you get to a point where you feel unsafe again, I don't want you to ever think that if you feel unsafe, that that's just you being paranoid, or because like, again, the whole gaslighting thing. But if you ever feel unsafe, I want to make sure we have a plan in place
yeah.
so that, you know, if you had to, you could go somewhere. Do you have like a trusted neighbor or like a family friend who you could call if things started to like escalate?
Yeah, actually, my friend, she lives probably like 20 minutes away. And you know, I talked to her about what's going on. So she's very like there. She's like, if you need anything, just let me know. Um,
Okay.
so just like with the arguments we've had. So
Yeah. And I mean, not that you necessarily want to like scoop up your child and run outside and wait 20 minutes for them. Do you by chance live close to like a Quick Trip or a Kroger or something like that?
yeah, I think there's one literally across like right across the street from my house. So
That's perfect. So those places have signs that you've probably seen them, and it looks like someone hugging somebody. They're referred to as safe spaces. If you go in there and explain like, hey, I'm in danger, like anything, or, you know, I don't feel safe because of X, Y, and Z, they, you know, will put you in a space where that person won't be able to get you until your friend comes. Is
okay.
that something that you feel like, you know, if it came down to it, you could do something like that?
Yeah, that could be something. If my friend's not available, I know I mean, she comes over like once a week, so
Yeah.
that kind of like helps with our arguments. Just because if she's there, he doesn't like get as aggressive or as like, you know, our arguments don't get as loud. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that I could definitely, if my friend's not around, we can definitely go over there if needed.
I just want to make sure, just in case something, that you have just like a plan in place and you can discuss it with your friend. Just, it sounds like she's pretty, or he or she is pretty they're pretty understanding
Yeah.
about what's going on. And so they seem very supportive. So that's excellent to have that kind of through line. And like I said, there are resources that are nearby to you that could potentially help you also. So just keep those kind of things in mind. And like I said, if you ever feel unsafe, your feelings are totally valid. You should absolutely seek safe space as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Let's set a time let's shoot for next week. We can talk again, and maybe we can try to move toward maybe even having your partner come in with you, and we can talk, and I can kind of act as a mediator between like the two of you for those kind of arguments. I don't mind, setting up quick appointments if need be, but let's try to set a time next week, and we can kind of set a plan, and then maybe reach out to your partner too.
Yeah, we can do that. That'll work. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, same time.
Yes.
Perfect.
That works.
All right, I will put a return to clinic order, and it's good talking to you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.